Hi everyone, this is Killshot 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 10 Countdown. We're going to talk about the Michonne mystery. We're going to funnel some things down. We're going to touch on fear a little bit. And we're getting very close. We're getting very close to something super, super special. Yes, we are one day away from Freestyle Friday and PDL Live. We're going to have a lot of fun with that tomorrow. I'm going to talk about that as well tonight. So before we get started, special shout out. We're in September. Thank you so much to the Patreon Army. You can see them all up there. Great group of people. You guys are absolutely incredible. And we got some cool stuff going on. Some really, really cool stuff. We got an interview with Angela Kang we're going to talk about. And, well, let's just get this thing started. we missed a couple of streams with fear. And it wasn't the most popular episode, I guess. But I'm not going to go full rant mode. There's been this person from Forbes magazine for a long time. You know who you are. I'm not going to say your name, Paul Tassi. But I will say this, that when Fear the Walking Dead is good, he takes a negative approach. When Fear the Walking Dead has gotten a little bit suspect, and I guess he's a beat writer for Walking Dead, and he might be losing his job at some point. Now he's all of a sudden buttering up to it. So, yeah, I'm really concerned. But let me just call it out because we talked about this. The numbers are scaring me. I'm typically not a ratings person because it's always had some, all the Walking Deads have been solid. This episode of Fear the Walking Dead barely got 1 million viewers. It typically gets 1.5, but it barely got 1 million viewers. And what concerns me is usually the show that is bad, it kind of impacts the following couple weeks afterwards. So I'm concerned about the next few episodes because, people didn't know before they watched it that this one was not going to be very good. And now that they've watched it, it's going to leave kind of a bad taste in their mouth. So more to come on that. Valar in the house. What's up, Valar? Hello, 999 Army. Kill Steph. Emmy Kale. Sweet Tommy. Sponsors, patrons, channel members. And, of course, of course, we got mods. Absolutely, we got mods. Sometimes they're lurking. Sometimes they're here. There's Kale. Kale's in the house. Thank you for that, Valar. Appreciate it. But we are a month away from the real show. So it's right around the corner. We can be patient. You guys know spoilers are going to start to surface. Before the spoilers really surface, though, we get in some nice funnel predictions. And I think Angela Kang and I think the writers on The Walking Dead sort of know that there's going to be leaks. And recently what they've been doing is they've been giving us more and more. So to prevent us from going to another source, they're kind of just throwing it out there. So, any thoughts on the butt? You guys probably saw the picture, the exclusive interview with TV Line, and we got the naked person on the ground, and all we can see is appears to be male, lighter complexion, well, Julia, do I want to know how you know what a naked walker looks like? You said that with, authority. It's a naked walker. Is it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Dallas Smith is like, it's about time for some naked walkers. I don't, I'll just settle. I'll settle for the straightforward show. I don't need the extras. Is it? It's officially Walking Dead season because we're in September. So we do have the picture posted. A couple of people posted on our Facebook fan page, so you guys can check that out. There's a lot of confusion. Aaron's there, Michonne is there, but I think the article that went along with the TV line picture was, I don't know, it's more telling, but certainly it seemed as if Angela was trying to tell us something. She almost got a little bit of Scott Gimple. She used to just kind of blurt things out. So here's a little bit of the context of her interview. That we're going to see some badass Michonne. I mean, I think we kind of expected that, right? So I don't think we expected anything to, her to go out in kind of a weak manner. She's got 5 or 6 more episodes. There's going to be some Walker death. And it's going to be typical Michonne, I think, with the katana. But the real cryptic part, because, I mean, let's face it, we expect. Is there anybody here that does not expect Michonne to survive and go to the Rick Grimes movie? Is there anybody that thinks that there is any other plot? I mean, I doubt it. I mean, there could be a skeptic here or there, but for the most part, I think we've got that kind of in our heart. It's got to happen that way. It's kind of like all the rumors, all the gossip about Rick dying last year, and we sort of had it set. I think we almost willed it to happen, right? There's no way Rick's leaving the universe. Well, I don't think there's any way that Michonne is leaving the Walking Dead universe. But a couple lines do concern me. And I really don't know what Angela means by this. And sometimes, you say things for multiple reasons. One, you say things to get people curious. You say things to, well, just tell people. Or you say things to mislead people. I mean, those are really your categories. So when Angela Kang says there's massive consequences, that's the type of bait you throw out there to be like, wait a minute. We already kind of feel like she's leaving and she's going to go find Rick. What are these massive consequences? There's only one massive consequence that I can think of, and we predicted it, and I'm going to say, now that she said it this way, I feel even more and more confident it's going to happen. She's going to have to leave Judith behind. She's going to get where she has to make, there's only one way I see this playing out. She's going to have to make a snap decision, a quick choice, and it's got to be, you got to go. So this certainly screams out the consequences. And I don't think this is just, it doesn't make sense for it not to be a desperation move, a rushed decision. Now, she also said that there is a very particular fallout. Interesting use of wording here. Now, I don't want to go full Beast Charlie mode from Fear the Walking Dead, but I got to ask you guys, if Michonne isn't forced to leave Judith behind, the very particular fallout, is it possible that Judith absolutely refuses to leave? Is that the potential fallout? That Michonne wants to take Judy, and Judy says, no, I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay here and fight. I'm going to stay here and protect. That might make it make a little bit more sense for some people. Like, well, there's no way Michonne's going to leave without her kids. You know what? Judith might be at a point where you ain't taking her. And here's why I love that story. I love it because it checks every box. It gets Michonne to leave. It gets Michonne looking for Rick. It makes us respect Michonne for not dragging Judith by her hair. Get in the boat. We're leaving. I don't have time to argue over this. So we respect Michonne for trusting in Judith. It also shows a certain amount of growth and respect for Judith. And number 5, we got very, very attached to Judith's character really, really fast. And she is a mainstay on the show. They're not taking her off the show. And June, I don't think it's going to go down that way. June says she'd better tell her to get your little butt over here. But because of the phenomenal job Kaylee Fleming has done on the show and how she's brought the character to life and how quickly we're like, that's a mini Rick Grimes right there. The show doesn't need her to survive. I think we need her. I think after losing Rick, we know we're going to lose Michonne. Here's the other thing that I think is misunderstood. If Rick is dead, and Carl is dead, and Michonne is going on this desperation search, there's only one Grimes left. Could Judith actually play I'm the only Grimes left card and say, no, you go find Dad, make sure he's okay, but somebody with the Grimes name needs to stay here and protect these people? I just think that's a moment the audience would absolutely embrace. Well, see, tell you, I think RJ goes. I think RJ and Michonne and Rick will be in that one category over there, and then Judith will be in the one Grimes is staying behind. Steph the Cuervo Queen says, big, huge, mushy, and smushy to our badass Gina and Emmy. Best mama to fur baby ever. Oh, I'm absolutely. Shout out to Emmy and Gina. See, Chris, I wouldn't argue that she's only 11, but I think the potential to the story, the lineage, the future of the character I mean, she ain't going to win a fist fight with Negan. But boy, will she have the ability to influence people in the future in a very unique way. Because, look, she's already influenced Negan. She's already had that impact on him. I think she probably got to Daryl a little bit. You know, we had the dock scene where she was sitting down talking to Daryl. So this is just the beginning. The potential for that character and to be the next generation, to be the next story that needs to be told. Warmaker, strongest plot armor of all. I mean, she's the next story that we're going to live through. And two hands, exactly. See, I didn't want to go kind of full that mode. You know, I think Charlie's still fresh in our mind. So I didn't want to go huge fallout and say Judith leaves. But I think it's got to be done the right way. So Angel says she thinks she's safe with Daryl, Negan, and Carol. Maybe not Carol. Well, I think we've been assuming that conversation is going to happen. And that's, I see it playing out either way. But to go back to June Smith's comment a little earlier, you know, basically saying the mom's going to say, hey, you need to do this now. We already saw that. We saw that when Michonne tried to step in and interrupt the relationship between Judith and Negan. Do you guys remember how angry Michonne was? I don't want to ever see you talk to that man again. And then she went to Negan. And it was like, you know, basically almost like, how dare you talk to her? And then, later on when they're fighting together, she realized that Judith has a lot more maturity and a lot more control over these relationships than Michonne thought. And then Michonne had the conversation with Negan. So it seems like the bridges have been mostly rebuilt. So I don't see Michonne going down that road again with Judith. And if she does, it's not going to have a positive impact. Well, Sheila, here's why. Sheila says, how can Judith not be safe with Carol? She knows Judith since she was born. I'm going to ask two questions that's going to answer your question. Which episode is it rumored that Michonne is going to leave the show? We've heard several things, but I just want to see the consensus. We've heard 5 or 6, right? So how many people think that Alpha is going to be dead by episode 6? How many people think the Whisperer War will be over by the time Michonne leaves? Okay. That answers your question, Sheila. She is absolutely not going to be safe. And that's the consequence, and that's the fallout, is imagine how difficult of a decision that would be for Michonne. if Michonne has to leave and the war is not decided, that's a possibility too, Chris. Maybe they think it's over. I just don't feel like that's the story. If Michonne leaves under difficult circumstances, I feel like it's going to be rushed, and I think that there's going to be some unknown about what's going on back there. And that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing to leave your daughter behind. Granted, stepdaughter, but daughter. And trusting that the group you're leaving behind is going to win the war. I am also right here, right now, I'm going to throw down the gauntlet. And I'm going to say, there is no romantic love interest long-term between Michonne and Ezekiel. I don't feel it. I don't see it. I went back, watched the scene over and over again in the promo. I looked at the picture. I think that ties in with a little overzealous kiss goodbye. I think that is their moment. I think that is Ezekiel saying, go find your man. Don't know if we're going to be here when you get back. Don't know if you're going to find him and I'll ever see you again. You go right now and just let us fight it out. I just feel like that people saw that and they put it there, and the actors added a little bit extra to get us talking about it, to get us thinking something's going on with Michonne. But if I'm wrong, I am wrong. And I will go back and I'll do a retraction and we'll talk about it. But I don't think that they're going to do that to Rick's character in the movie. And I don't think that they're going to do it to Michonne's character. If I am a writer and I really want to build up a strong reunion story at some point between Rick and Michonne, why am I going to have a fling between her and Ezekiel? And you guys can answer this. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just want to funnel it down. I want to drill down and say, what's the relevance to it? Just so we can say, okay, she's human. She thought Rick was dead. They had a good one night together. Okay, I know we can say all those things, but where's the value in it? Where's the value in it to the story? To make it more dramatic before she goes to the movie? I mean, I just don't see the necessity in that. I have not been wrong about June and John yet, Chris. Hold on to the season finale. Wilson, I don't disagree of what it shows, but I don't see the value in giving Michonne a moment of weakness. Look, you're sending her off the show. If you're a writer, do you want to do anything to jade that perception of Michonne as she leaves the show? I mean, I don't see the value in it. Anything's possible. I mean, they could make Michonne cut off somebody's mask and turn into a whisperer if they wanted to. But I'm just asking you, would you do it? Do you see the necessity in it? That's my question. And the more I think about it, I don't. I see Michonne getting one of the most epic send-offs in the history of Walking Dead. I think it's to get us talking. I think it's going to be, I think it looked a certain way to some people, but when you tie in the whole storyline, and you think that, hey, you know what? If I'm leaving the war behind and I potentially might never see Ezekiel again, and I know, and I'm talking personally, if this is me, Kills, and I'm getting ready to get on a boat to go find my significant other, and I know Ezekiel's going to stay behind and he's going to help protect my daughter and fight this war and maybe lose his life, I'm going to kiss Ezekiel on the lips. I don't care. I'm going to kiss him just like Michonne kissed him right there. Might even take one of his dreadlocks and put it back over his ear for him. I don't care. I'm going to do something. But there's going to be a show of support and compassion, and absolutely, I appreciate it. I might even close my eyes because this man is laying his life on the line. So understand the gravity of the situation. I don't think this is just about, hey, yeah, Rick's gone. Hey, Carol's gone. You free tonight? Yeah, I'm free tonight. That's a Rosita story. That's not a Michonne story. And a good portion of the audience will forgive her, right? Okay. Here's my question. How many people here, if Michonne had an affair with Ezekiel, how many people would accept it and say, it's fine? And then how many of you are going to say, you know what? She gave her heart to Rick. No matter what happened, she thinks he's dead. That just needs to be her commitment forever. All right, I want you to read the comments. This is not me speaking. Half the audience says they would. Half the audience is saying they're going to have a slight problem with it. Some people are saying, yeah, it would be weird. So I go back to my initial question. Because if you guys don't know what we're funneling down, you're about to find out. So do me a favor. If you guys like funneling down theories, if you like the deep dives, you like the psychology of The Walking Dead, everybody watching the video, watching the playback, everybody here right now, do me a question and hit that like button. Valar wants to know, Kills, do you think Ezekiel will die at the end protecting Judith? I do. I think this kiss is foreshadowing the death of Ezekiel. And based on what everybody's saying right now, some people are saying, look, I'm totally cool with it, doesn't bother me. Some people are saying, it would bother me. It shouldn't, but it would. Right? So my point to this is, take yourself out of the story and put yourself in the PR department or the writers department and say, if we got Michonne leaving in 5 episodes, do we need a make-out scene with Ezekiel to kind of dirty her character up a little bit in the minds of half the viewers? Because half the viewers are telling you, whether they think it's okay or not, that they just wouldn't be comfortable with it. So who are we to speak for that half? And vice versa. So I tend to think that when you get down to the final moments, why stir up controversy? I mean, that would probably be the equivalent of, you know, when Rick was hallucinating at the very end and he was walking along? Remember that? Like Rick's final moments on the TV show? Now, we know he's alive. We know there's a movie. And Eric, we'll get to that in 1 second. Kills death predictions for characters. I got a few. And once we make this point, I'll definitely jump around to that for your super chat. Thank you so much. So, What if Rick's final moment, he's taking a step and he sees Herschel. He takes a couple more steps and he sees Shane. And then right before he gets to the bridge, he sees Jesse. It's like, oh boy, I miss me some Jesse. No, they're not going to do that. We're not going to put Rick's final moments on the show to be a fantasy or a hallucination. Lori was the mother of Carl. Different. Totally different. But we're not going to do that to Rick's character because we need Rick's character to be strong. So we get to movie number 2, and Michonne and Rick, she finally finds him. And the first thing, it's like, hold on, Rick, I got something to tell you. Remember the king? Remember the guy that had the tiger? Yeah, well, I thought you were dead, so things happen. No, we don't need that. It's just, I think it's an unnecessary story. So if we got one of two options, we can make Michonne and Ezekiel have a temporary relationship that's going to last less than 5 episodes, or we can make this a epic goodbye moment where Michonne has to leave and Ezekiel has to potentially die and lay his life on the line. And I choose the second. I choose not to even remotely tarnish the character of Michonne this season. I think 5 episodes, she's going to be amazing. She's going to kill. She's going to drive some things. She's going to get some hints about Rick. There's going to be something over the radio. And then she's going to have that moment to hit the road. Judy's going to decide to stay. And Ezekiel's going to say, you go find your man. I'm going to stay here and protect it. And then they get this goodbye kiss. Simple. I love it. Debbie Davis kills, new to the chat. Theory. In the promo, Michonne makes a comment about it being difficult the second time around. Is it possible that Ezekiel dies and that's why Michonne leaves? It's possible. But I still think it's a stretch. And thank you. I know you're new. Thank you for commenting. And we love to have people involved and engaged in theories. Certainly. The benefit to that would be that Michonne has... Now, I'll play the devil's advocate here. If there truly has been an ending between Carol and Ezekiel, that could push the Carol-Daryl story forward. Michonne could be the scapegoat for the relationship. And then Ezekiel dies. Absolutely. I don't think that's an impossibility. It's not as beautiful to me as finding Rick. Michonne ends up in a relationship with Ezekiel. Ezekiel dies. And then Michonne finds out Rick's out there, and then she leaves. It's a little complicated, but it's possible. It's possible. Eric Beach wants to get into a couple Season 10 death predictions. And we've talked about a few of these. But certainly, the two up on the very top of the radar are Rosita and Ezekiel. They dodged last season's comic book death. But I don't think they're going to dodge this season. I think the Eugene Nanny story is certainly big because he's going to be taking care of Coco. I definitely think Ezekiel is going to go. I like Ezekiel. But I just think that Ezekiel kind of hanging around after Carol's already left him, they're going to have to rebuild his character to be totally different. Connie is doing other things. I think for the same reason, I would have loved to seen a Daryl-Connie relationship. How many people here would have loved to see a Daryl-Connie relationship, but instead we're getting a Carol and Daryl friendship? How many people feel like Carol's separation from Ezekiel and Daryl's need to emotionally support her caused Connie to miss out on a chance with Daryl? I know it's an odd way to look at it, but I don't think it can happen that way. We got June Smith super chatting, and June says, I think the kiss is something that just happens and life goes on after. Like, on to Rick Grimes. Yeah, I just don't want her kissing somebody else before she gets back with Rick. Not in that kind of kiss. And June, the kiss meant something. I just hope it meant goodbye. It wasn't a, hey, I haven't kissed anybody in a long time. Just want to come over here. Let me see what this feels like. There was something to it. It's just, was it something, or was it just goodbye something? No, I don't think, see, Deborah, I'm not saying that Carol, let me clarify my statement. I don't think Carol intentionally did anything to affect Connie and Daryl. I think it was a thing that happened. Kind of, you're at a bar and you meet somebody and you're with a friend and things are going well at the bar, and all of a sudden your friend gets really drunk and he does something stupid, and then you're like, excuse me, I really got to get him out of here. Oh, okay, no problem. And then you got to take him home. And then you take him home and you go back to the bar and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, they're not there anymore. Missed that opportunity. Kind of like that sort of thing. I feel like there was an opportunity for Connie and Daryl, and Daryl's friend just came first. If Carol and Ezekiel were fine, I think Daryl would just have more spare time. And in spare time, I just think that relationship between the two just would have blossomed a little bit more. And now it's just been put on hold. So, Taya, let me kind of approach that question, because I think it's a fair question. Would people demand this kind of loyalty from Rick if Michonne had been presumed dead or so for so long? So, there's two schools of thought here. One is, you're certainly right. There are certain people who expect this sort of loyalty. And the answer is probably no. They wouldn't. Because the standards are certainly different, because Michonne is female and Rick being a male. I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not saying they're my standards. I'm just saying I get it. I understand that. But I think beyond the character, there is a double standard. But let's not assume that it's all related on the characters. And go back to the example that I just gave about Rick's final moments on the show. So I would say, if you're asking the question from a standpoint of, is there a double standard? Yes, there is. But if I don't take into account the characters and I say the story, the example I gave was the exact same example. And I was the first person to say, I would not want Rick's final moments on a show to be littered with an affair whether it was a justified or unjustified relationship. So to me, it's more central to the story than it is about society and what the character is being judged upon. If that, and I'm trying to make that make sense in the most correct way that I can possibly say it. So your answer is no, and then the answer is yes. That yes, I do have the same standard for Rick Grimes. But a good portion of our audience does not. And their bias are their bias. Michael Curie says, Kills, do you think Daryl and Connie happen down the line? I don't. And I don't because I think that Connie's going to die. So I'm going to go back to Eric Beach's super chat. I think Connie is number 3 on the list. I think you got Ezekiel, you got Rosita, and you got Connie. Those are my guarantees for this season. And because Daryl and Carol are riding away on motorcycles, so I think the Connie thing is done. Daryl's talking about saving his best friend. He's not talking about, hey, pardon me if I don't want my best friend to be stuck on a boat. He didn't say, hey, Carol, do you mind if we bring Connie along with us? I mean, it just doesn't seem like that's happening because they're scripting so much time with Daryl and Carol together. Now, question I would ask the group, knowing Daryl's character, knowing the friendship between Daryl and Carol, I'll ask this question, maybe you guys can answer it for me. You guys know the scene where Carol's talking about making bracelets and Daryl's sitting there and goes, I got an idea. Why don't we just eat and not talk, right? You guys remember that scene from the promo? So, how many people think that Daryl's next line after that is going to be, okay, hey, that was a good dinner, Carol. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to go over and see Connie tonight. You guys think that's the follow-up conversation to that? So, the Connie-Daryl relationship now feels awkward. It didn't feel awkward last year when they were passing notes to each other. Didn't feel awkward when she goes, she wanted to go with him. But now all of a sudden, because of this spotlight being shined on Daryl and Carol, it just feels like it's never going to happen. And maybe the reason it's not going to happen is because Connie's going to die. June, Daryl and Carol chemistry has always been there. They should have been together a long time ago. Well, then a follow-up question. A couple people, June says yes. Well, Lonnie says yes. Is it too little, too late for Daryl and Carol? Are they too good of friends that anything beyond that friendship is going to jeopardize the story and jeopardize the friendship? So now you got some possible, Taya says, I don't want to see them together. Some people are saying it's too late. So we got a real difficult situation with Daryl here. We had the audience finally thinking, yeah, there's a romantic interest with Connie. But the writers, it wasn't just, there's some intent here. Don't think that Carol would not be strong enough to stand on her own. She could have left Ezekiel and just been solo. But man, they've been written into so many stories together. It's like every scene is Daryl and Carol this season. So there's a lot of intent to that. And I think the intent is to further the relationship. But if I'm going to ask this question, and the first person to answer this question gets a kills coin tonight that can be redeemed tomorrow. So, be ready, because we've discussed this. The Carol and Daryl friendship is important this season because it allows two characters to get deaths and leave the show. Which two characters are those two characters that will be much, much easier to accept dying because Daryl and Carol spend so much time together? Exactly. Michael Curie, first person to answer correctly. Several people are going to get it. So Michael Curie, first person, Connie and Ezekiel. The less attached to Daryl that Connie is, the easier it's going to be to kill her off. The fact that Carol and Ezekiel are not in a relationship is going to allow Ezekiel's character to do bigger, bolder things with a greater group concept in mind and not just be protecting Carol. And that's why I think the King and Connie are both gone. Rosita's a different story. So Eric, those are the only two that I really will go out on a limb, or the only three that I'll really go out on a limb and say I feel very comfortable about them. You're going to add a lot of whisperers and some other characters as well. But hopefully that answered in a very long answer to your super chat, because it was about 30 minutes ago that we kind of hit it home with that. I don't know if Daryl had a girlfriend. I mean, I would think Beth was probably as close. But, I mean, how many people think that Beth was Beth was basically Carol, right? Same bond. Now, I don't know if this was ever explicitly laid out. I do know that Daryl opened up to Beth about his father abusing him and Merle. Now, I don't know in that episode if it was ever brought up that his father abused his mother. But I would assume that was the case with Daryl's character. And because of what Carol went through in her relationship, to me, that's what made the friendship so much stronger. Is Daryl came from an abusive family. Carol was in an abusive relationship. And I think that's implied. And I don't think that spawns into a romantic interest. I think it's always that bond and that protecting, not that it goes further than that. With that being said, I still blame, and I use blame very lightly, so don't freak out. I blame the friendship of Daryl and Carol partially to what is going to happen to Ezekiel and also to Connie. The friendship's very organic. It's natural. There's nothing wrong with it. But if that friendship did not exist, and if they weren't together so much, they certainly would, I think, have a more of an awareness of those that might need them. Especially if Daryl's talking about leaving with Carol. That shows a very, maybe a very short-sighted approach of, let's take care of ourselves and go start over. We can't keep going through these wars. And I'm not judging them. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that that is kind of, that's what Angela Kang wants us to understand. The people are different now. These happy people that have always had each other's back at the beginning of season 10, it's not going to be the case. Now, ultimately, by the middle to the end of season 10, I think we're going to be right back in Walking Dead mode, right? Walking Dead mode is where they all fight for each other, they die for each other, they do all those things. The beginning of the season, it's been pointed out, that's not going to be the case. They don't trust each other. They don't want to fight anymore. They're worn down. They're paranoid. They could have spies there. They don't want any part of it. And there's going to be a selfish nature that people just want to protect themselves. They just want to go away and start over and not be around this. But as we know, things happen and there's a chain of events, and then they reach down and realize, why are we going to be bullied like this? We got to fight back. And they find a reason to fight. Now, what is that reason? What is that line? I feel like the way Carl ended the Whisper War, I think Rosita's death will start. I'm sorry, the way Carl ended All Out War, not the Whisper War. The way Carl's character was used to put an end between Negan and Rick in the fight. Rosita's death will be the opposite, and it will be used to spark the fight of the Whisper War. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. That Rosita's exit becomes a very, very big exit, and it is the motivation. Carl's was about an ending, because what would Rosita's legacy be? Rosita is a fighter, so wouldn't it be telling? Wouldn't it be wonderful if Rosita, if that's kind of what, the reason the group decided to fight was because of Rosita? Makes sense to me. And Eugene takes over with the baby and the radio. So, a lot of funneling tonight. Hey, everybody, we're 53 minutes in, so I've had a great time. I love getting together with all of you and talking Walking Dead, even Fear the Walking Dead. I know some of you will be watching tomorrow night. A couple announcements that I want to make. We've got Freestyle Friday. If you guys don't know what Freestyle Friday is, we start with the Walking Dead topic, and then it's very casual. We hang out. I know we got some new viewers in here tonight. We've been adding brand new viewers all throughout the summer. People never watched us before, and we're almost in full swing. Friday night is kind of our thing, though. A lot of personal stuff. We hang out, music, movies. It's all over the place. I can't really describe it except to say, just show up. If you don't like it, then leave. I mean, be here for 10 or 15 minutes. I think you'll have a great time. If not, certainly come back and join us. But we also on Friday night have been given a taste of a brand new live role-playing game that we do, and it's called Play Dead Live. And it puts you and your character into the situation of a zombie apocalypse. We've been doing these small clips, 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time. We're going to do one tomorrow. I've got a really good scenario for you guys tomorrow. So PDL, we're going to be introducing some brand new stuff, so I look forward to doing that. As we get closer and closer to January, we're going to do a full PDL night. So we'll do full 2-hour campaigns and conquest, but you'll get a taste of that tomorrow night as well. We just like to give you a little bit more. We're doing some live gameplay and some play testing to get your opinions, get your thoughts. We've done 3 official ones. We did, kind of a mock one in the beginning, but I've gotten tremendous feedback that people said it is the most fun stream they've had. They enjoy it. They have a good time doing it. They control the story. It's not predetermined. There's some script to it, but it changes. And I will tell you, we have more deaths on our PDL than they had in Fear the Walking Dead in the last 2 seasons. So if you like the decision-making, the camaraderie, all of the above, join us tomorrow night. So, hey, I want to thank all of you for being here. Hopefully you guys are safe. My thoughts and prayers go out to your friends, your family, anybody that has been in this devastating weather. Just always be smart. Remember, we can replace houses. We can't replace people. So you guys are absolutely amazing. Love hanging out with you. I'll be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Remember, Friday's 8 o'clock stream. And Saturday morning, Coffee with Kills. Maybe Paul Tassi will write something else between now and then, and I'll have a little bit of fuel to get fired up. So, hey, thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. All my family and friends are great, so thanks for asking. And keep in mind, you guys are family and friends as well, so I want to keep each and every one of you safe as well, so hopefully you guys are making good decisions and don't stick around in a place that is being slammed by weather longer than you absolutely have to. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll talk to you all tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Peace.